Sean Combs, renowned as Puff Daddy before adopting the names P. Diddy and Diddy, stands as one of the most influential figures in hip-hop history. He built a thriving multi-million-dollar empire through Bad Boy Entertainment, showcasing iconic artists like the Notorious B.I.G, Craig Mack, Faith Evans, 112, and Total, all meticulously crafted and orchestrated by Combs himself. Sean Combs was born in 1969, the first child of Janice and Melvin Combs. He was born in Harlem. His mother was into modeling and his father was described as the fly guy of the neighborhood. When Puffy was 3, just after his mother had another child, his father Melvin died. He was shot to death while sitting in his car on Central Park West. Puffy grew up in the prime time of hip-hop when it was just getting off the ground. When he was around 12 years old, sometimes he would sneak out of his family home to attend to parties until 4 in the morning, seeing the music. When he was 12, Diddy's family relocated. He enrolled at Mount St. Michael's Academy, where he did well in his studies, and where it is rumored as a football player he earned the nickname Puffy for his habit of puffing out his chest to make his skinny frame look a little more daunting. In the late 1980s, Combs moved on to Howard University, where he excelled at ambition. He sold tickets to rap and dance parties that he hosted. Combs applied to Howard University in Washington, D.C., and while attending, convinced childhood friend Heavy D to sign him up as an intern at the label for which he recorded, called Uptown Records, which was founded and owned by Andre Harrell. He received an internship at Uptown and quickly rose the ranks after finding success with newly signed acts, including R&B group Joe Dacey and Mary J. Blige, who was dubbed the Queen of Hip-Hop Soul, with the release of her 1992 debut, What's the 411? Puffy rapidly honed his distinctive production style, blending gritty radical rhythms with catchy melodies and recognizable pop samples, showcasing his versatility and creativity as a producer. In the process, he helped formulate a highly successful sound that became known as hip-hop soul. Uptown Records also released Notorious B.I.G's first single, 1993's Party and Bull, which was featured on a film soundtrack. Combs often credits Andre Harrell with giving him the tools to find success in music and life, even saying Harrell was like a father figure to him.
First this man in the middle here, and then he passed it on to, I guess his son, Protege. Yeah, Puffy. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about this man and why you like working with him.
Because, he's not intimidated by youth, you know what I'm saying? He knows the importance of leaving a legacy behind. We need more adults out there that's going to teach the young, such as myself, and, basically leave a legacy behind, leave something behind.
To him. In 1993, Harrell fired Combs from Uptown Records. He said one of the reasons he fired Diddy was because MCA Records, the label's distributor, did not want to release Biggie's debut album because of its raw and rough subject matter about street life. Puffy left Uptown Records and initially worked independently as a music remixer before setting up Bad Boy Entertainment as his own venture. He ran the label out of his apartment, and after more than a year of hard work, he finally signed 2 hit artists, former EPMD rookie Craig Mack and Christopher Wallace, aka the Notorious B.I.G, who was a street hustler from Brooklyn. He had dealt crack and had seen hard realities go down in the streets. Biggie possessed a remarkable gift for constructing rhymes and narratives that describe the world he lived in.
Until I started hustling on Fulton Street, making loose, knocking loose on the regular. That's the microphone, I'm the perfect competitor. Jewels and all that, the clothes is all that. Couple seconds to me, that's where you took your fall at. B.I.G. got my murder, that's the murder. I stay close to mine, like Tina Montana. Pick the smother, the pump motherfucker undercover. First the mother, I'm above ya, and I love ya.
In 1992, Biggie got written up in the unsigned hype column of The Source, one of the early influential hip-hop magazines that brought Biggie's demo tape to the attention of Sean Puffy Combs. Combs first heard Smalls on a demo tape given to him by a friend named Matteo Capolongo at The Source magazine, and soon decided that Smalls would become his first major artist. Puffy signed Biggie twice, first to Uptown Records and then later to his own label, Bad Boy, which put out Biggie's biggest hits. Mac hit the big time in mid-1994 when a remix of his Flavor in Your Ear single featuring LL Cool J, Busta Rhymes, Rampage, and the Notorious B.I.G. The hit became the first platinum record for Bad Boy. In early 1995, Biggie achieved his second significant milestone when his hit track, Big Poppa, climbed to number 6 on the pop charts. Simultaneously, Mac's album project, Funk the World, earned a gold certification while the Notorious B.I.G's Ready to Die achieved double platinum status. Around the time of Biggie's first album, Combs and Smalls became friendly with a couple of other pivotal figures in the hardcore hip-hop world. Marion Suge Knight, one of the founders of the leading West Coast rap label Death Row, and Tupac Shakur, a gifted rapper who would eventually become Death Row's biggest star. In 1994, Tupac Shakur, a rapper and actor originally from New York but based in California, had already launched 2 hit albums and appeared in 3 movies. Despite his early successes, his career faced serious threats. Financial struggles loomed large, and he found himself embroiled in a high-stakes legal battle in New York City, facing charges of sexual abuse, sodomy, and weapons possession. In 1994, Tupac was scheduled to record a verse with Little Sean at Quad Studios in Manhattan to help pay his legal fees. On the very same day, his friend Biggie Smalls was recording on the same studio. As he arrived, members of Junior Mafia, a group affiliated with Bad Boy Records and Sean Combs, shouted greetings to Tupac on the street below. In the lobby of the building, Shakur and the group were followed by some young men with guns and ordered to lie on the floor and surrender their valuables. Shakur railed at the men and was shot 5 times and robbed of $40,000 worth of jewelry. Tupac's friends dragged him into an elevator and ended up in a room upstairs where they found Biggie Smalls, Sean Puffy Combs, and Andre Harrell. It became a crucial moment in the lives of most of the men who were assembled in that room. When Tupac was being carried out of Quad Studios on a stretcher, he'd stuck up his middle finger. One day later, Tupac appeared in court, and soon after that he was taken to Rikers Island to await sentencing. In February 1995, Who Shot Ya?, a B-side track from Biggie's Big Poppa's single, was released. The song was released several months after Tupac was shot by unidentified attackers in the lobby of Quad Studios. Tupac, in a state of incarceration, pain, and suspicion, in an interview questioned whether Biggie and Puffy were aware of his assailant's identity or if they had any involvement in the incident. Biggie and Puffy decided that they needed to defend themselves. In the August 1995 issue of Vibe magazine, Biggie said he wasn't involved in the Quad shooting and that Who Shot Ya wasn't about Tupac. They demanded an apology from Pac, and Puffy said that Tupac's allegations had got a lot of people in trouble. The birthplace of hip-hop was New York, and rappers from there had a tendency to dismiss rap scenes in other regions. This attitude led to frustration on the West Coast, as they resented New York's claim of owning the hip-hop culture. One of those people was Marion Suge Knight, and he had decided to do something about it. Earlier, Suge Knight had enjoyed some success with his Death Row Records label from artists like Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Nate Dogg, and a group called the Dog Pound. He even tried to poach the Wu-Tang Clan from their label, but the rapper Suge wanted most of all was Tupac. In 1993, he'd given Tupac $200,000 to contribute a song to a movie soundtrack. Even so, Tupac continued putting out his albums on Interscope, a label that was partly owned by Time Warner, and that had a deal to distribute Death Row releases. Now Tupac is now at his weakest point, stuck in prison where he was being abused by guards and threatened by fellow inmates. Suge Knight visited him in prison and encouraged him to sign for Death Row Records. Prior to the Quad shooting, Tupac Shakur was not associated exclusively with either the East Coast or the West Coast rap scenes. He had spent part of his childhood in Baltimore, and in his early rap career he referred to himself as MC New York. On August 3, 1995, the Source Awards took place in New York's Madison Square Garden. The Source Awards were intended to honor the music revered by hip-hop fans, showcasing it before a national audience. Both East Coast and West Coast rappers were at the awards, and the ceremony opened with a 10-minute medley of Death Row's hits. Tupac had finally agreed to sign with Death Row but couldn't attend, as he was still locked up in prison. Suge Knight attempted to reveal the signing of Tupac to Death Row Records at this event, and even went to an extent of taking on Tupac's feud with Puffy and Biggie as his own in the most public way imaginable. When he went on stage, he made reference to Puffy in a mocking manner.
First of all, I'd like to thank God. Second of all, I'd like to thank my whole entire Death Row family on both sides, you know what I'm saying? I'd like to tell Tupac to keep his guards up. We ride with him. And one other thing I'd like to say, any artists out there want to be an artist and want to stay a star, and don't want to have to worry about the executive producer trying to be all in the videos, all on the record, dancing. Come to Death Row.
The New York crowd reacted to Suge's provocation with loud and relentless boos as Death Row's Dr. Dre took the stage to receive the Producer of the Year award. The audience once more erupted in boos. Snoop quickly grabbed the microphone from Dre, stepping forward to address the confrontational crowd.
What? Wait. The East Coast don't love Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg? The East Coast ain't got no love for Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg and Death Row? Y'all don't love us? Y'all don't love us? Well, let it be known then. We know y'all East Coast. We know we at East Coast and
When Snoop came on stage to accept his award, Combs made a point of giving him a hug. He, however, made some comment on stage which was somehow aimed at fueling the East Coast-West Coast feud when he said, "I live in the East and I'm going to die in the East." Problems continued the following month when Suge Knight and Puff Daddy attended a birthday party for musician Jermaine Dupri at Platinum House Club in Atlanta. At that party in Atlanta, the Death Row and Bad Boy entourages were feuding all night. Eventually, the dispute spilled outside of the club where shots were fired. Jai Hassan Jamal Robles, a Death Row Records employee and close friend of Suge Knight, who was also a Mob Peru blood, lay on the ground seriously wounded. Witnesses accused Puffy Combs' bodyguard of the shooting, and Knight immediately put the blame directly on Combs. Big Jack died from his injuries 2 weeks later. No one was ever charged. Soon after, Suge wired a $1.4 million bond to the New York Court of Appeals for the release of Tupac. Some of the money came from Interscope and Time Warner. He hired a limousine to pick Tupac up from Clinton Correctional Facility shortly. After his release, Tupac proceeded to join Knight in escalating Death Row Records' feud with Bad Boy Records. Tupac had gone to prison a year earlier. Now he had a career to rebuild, money to make, and scores to settle with Biggie and Puffy. He was ready to go to war. Tupac insulted or threatened Biggie, Bad Boy Records, and its affiliates on several tracks from late 1995 to 1996. Examples include the songs Against All Odds, Bomb First, My Second Reply, and Hit Him Up. In prison, Tupac made plans for revenge. He had a bizarre revenge idea of sleeping with Biggie's wife. Faith Evans, who was Biggie's wife at that time, has always maintained that she never had had sex with Tupac. Evans was used as a punching bag for the Tupac versus Biggie and Puffy beef. Hit Them Up was one of the most brutal diss tracks in the history of hip-hop. Tupac didn't just boast that he'd had sex with Faith Evans, but also threatened some of the biggest names in East Coast rap: Puffy, Junior Mafia, Mobb Deep, Jay-Z, and Lil' Kim. In less than 2 years, Tupac had been shot 5 times, gotten convicted of sexual abuse, and been locked up in a maximum security prison. He'd become increasingly paranoid, defensive, and hostile. On the night of September 7, 1996, Tupac, in the company of Suge Knight and their entourage, went to watch what would prove to be Mike Tyson's final heavyweight victory at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. Tyson faced Bruce Seldon, whom he knocked down twice in the first round, and the ref stopped the fight after 109 seconds. Tupac was thrilled by the fight. Following that, Tupac and the death row entourage made their way to the floor of the MGM Grand. Among them were individuals affiliated with the Bloods, including a man named Trayvon Lane. A few months prior, Lane had been assaulted by a group of Crips at a mall's, during which they had stolen his chain featuring a death row logo adorned with diamonds. While at the casino, Trayvon Lane identified one of his packers named Orlando Anderson from the shoe store and pointed him out to Tupac. Security footage showed several people kicking Anderson on the floor and Tupac and his pals dashing out of the casino. Tupac and his friends proceeded to the Luxor Hotel on the Vegas Strip, where they were staying. After the altercation, his girlfriend, Kid Jones, the daughter of renowned record producer Quincy Jones, was there waiting for him. Although Tupac was scheduled to perform later at the 662 Club, he chose not to bring his girlfriend along, possibly out of concern of her safety, following the earlier incident at the MGM Grand. Tupac and his team then stopped at Suge's house, and finally they headed to Club 662. Tupac rode in the passenger seat of Suge's new BMW 750. They were blasting Tupac's new album so loud that a bike cop told them to turn it down at about 11:17 p.m. Sue stopped his car at a red light and a white Cadillac rolled up next to their BMW and gunfire erupted. Suge was injured and got treated, but Tupac didn't make it as he passed away 6 days later due to the injury sustained in the shooting. In 2018, after a cancer diagnosis, an individual known as Keffi D admitted publicly in an interview for BET show to being inside the Cadillac during the attack. He implicated his nephew Orlando Baby Lane Anderson, saying he was one of 2 people in the back seat where the shots were fired. He was arrested in 2023 as the surviving suspect on the case. Investigations are still ongoing. Numerous complex theories emerged after Tupac's murder. Among the most prevalent was the belief that Suge Knight played a role stemming from Tupac's imminent departure from death row, which Knight alleged opposed. Knight consistently denied any involvement in Tupac's killing. Additionally, rumors circulated about death row's ongoing conflict with Bad Boy Records, suggesting potential involvement of Biggie and Puffy in Tupac's demise.